All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. This whole pandemic thing, I'm sick of talking about it. I know I have to keep bringing it up because of what everyone's going through right now. But the one benefit of it has been changing over doing podcasts from in person to doing them digitally. And I think that the last time I had this guest on the show, we also did it remotely. And I think in that case, it was not so much because of the pandemic, but more because of the physical distance between where I was and where you are. But this whole doing things from home gives me that opportunity to record interviews with people who aren't in Winnipeg. Whereas before I was driving around the city and meeting people in their jam spaces or basements or cars or whatever. But, we have the technology, we might as well make use of it. So I have a returning guest. You are out in Niverville, which is, I think a lot of people in Winnipeg are familiar with that area to a certain extent, but it's still, for some of us, a little bit alien.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think the best way to start this off is I have a lot of questions for you about what you've been doing in the time between interviews here. But before we start this off, if you want to introduce yourself and then just give a quick summary of what it is that you do musically, I think that would be a good place to start.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Sam. I love this format. It's awesome. I enjoyed talking to you last time. So my name is Ian Krochak. I'm a singer-songwriter from Niverville, Manitoba. But I was born and raised in Transcona. So I got that inferiority complex going on right now.
Yeah.
And it's a chip on my shoulders. I'll carry it for the rest of my life. But I'm a primarily country kind of roots rock singer-songwriter. I've had a lot of recording projects. I've done a lot of live events, and I'm just kind of firing things up again, kind of mid to latter part of this pandemic. So looking forward to talking to you.
Hopefully the latter part of the pandemic. I mean, I think everyone.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Well,
we'll see.
Maybe again, I don't want to dwell on the pandemic because I feel like we're all doing it too much, but you seem like a guy who, based on your social media, I follow you on various platforms there. It seems like you've been keeping active to a certain extent, the way you can, at least during all of this shit everyone's been dealing with. What has it been like for you trying to, maintain a career as a musician while having to deal with lockdowns and restrictions and all these things sort of preventing you from doing your job?
You know what? It's been hard. Like, I think initially it was hard. Because I was never one, like when I was feeling kind of down or just preoccupied with life, I wouldn't be so creative.
Yeah.
But it seems like I flipped the script during the pandemic, and I find that now that brings out the more creative side of me for sure. So from a creative standpoint, I mean, I don't think I've slowed down whatsoever in terms of writing or playing. So it's very exciting. So, but it's been hard. I work a day job as well, and I work with COVID in terms of like the planning of a lot of the mitigation around COVID and the day job. So you never get away from it. So to have those outlets is really important. So it's been a bit of a wild ride the last couple of years.
I know what you mean. I work in journalism as a day job, and I'm hearing about COVID constantly and writing about COVID. So yeah, you can't get away from it. But I'm glad you've been able to be creative, because I think it goes either way. Some people I've talked to have been just blocked during all of this. It's been too much outside stress that has just prevented them from being creative. And then there's other people, like you're saying, who have just really taken advantage of it however they can and use it as a way to kind of express themselves despite the limitations.
Absolutely. I think honestly there's going to be just this shock wave of amazing music. Well, I mean, we're probably already starting to hear that. But I think probably for the next year or two, we're going to be the benefactors of that creative wave from all the pandemic.
Well, everyone's been bottled up, right? Everyone's had all this work inside them that they want to share.
Yeah, and just having this kind of lack of connection, and just that longing for connection. I think it draws from a very deep place and dark place, and I think there'll be some amazing music out there, big time. Yeah.
As a songwriter, how does that experience affect your creativity in that way? Like, are you feeling the impact of what everyone's been going through in your writing since this has been happening?
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, I think a lot of the new songs are very much inspired by the last couple of years, just from so many different perspectives, right? Like we all wear different hats. I'm a dad and a husband and a son, and I work full time, and I'm wearing all these different hats. It's a lot to juggle, right? And so I think honestly, it's going to be it's been a challenge in many ways to just stay creative. But you know what? You just tap into something that you maybe never thought you had.
Cool. Well, and I think the last time I talked to you, you were started just getting this music thing started back up again after a bit of a hiatus from performing and from writing and all that. And now it seems like you've definitely increased your profile as a local artist. I mean, I feel like you're getting more recognition and you're getting more people listening to your music. What has that been like? The path from sort of restarting to where you are now? I think we may have frozen. Oh,
Are you there?
yeah, I'm here. Yeah, yeah. Do you want
I
me
don't
to
know if
ask
it
that
was
question again, or did you
yeah.
get it? Or
Well, you're talking about, yeah, you know what? I don't know if that was me. I'm on cellular, so I'm not sure what's happening. But anyway,
it's okay.
so
I
yeah,
can.
ask me quickly again. I think I
Yeah,
got the gist of it.
what I was gonna say is that when I interviewed you last time, you were just sort of coming back from this long period off of the music thing, and you were starting it back up again. And since then, it seems like you've definitely increased your profile uh, locally. I mean, I'm seeing music videos. I'm seeing you, on ads for shows when shows were happening, and it seems like you're just kind of it's growing, which is great to see. What has that been
Yeah.
like for you to sort of see the trajectory from okay, I'm starting this back up again after some time off to wherever you feel like you are now?
You know what? It's been really fun to see. I mean, I think, when I think of the last time I was on this podcast, it really was that kicking off a lot of stuff for me.
Yeah,
So that's why I really appreciate being on the show because it's been, um, but I think that a lot of it's paid off in terms of like just getting my music out there, forming a lot of relationships with people in the industry,
yeah,
and then just kind of as I continue to write, become a better writer during this whole process. So it's kind of excited. So I think about where I was when I kind of resurrected things to now, and I just feel like I'm so much a better place musically. I think it's just want to keep the momentum going.
for sure. Do you feel like are you where you expected to be? Since you started back up again, do you feel like the you in 2022, even though you're not able to play shows like you would have liked? I mean, are you sort of musically and in terms of writing at the level you had hoped after kicking this back up again?
You know what? I think everybody tries to set their bar high and set
Yeah,
goals with it, and I did the same thing. And I think probably I've probably moved the goals. I've adjusted them accordingly, right? Because you just have to be completely realistic in this landscape that we're
yeah,
currently operating in right now. And so you probably have to just kind of recalibrate and go, what am I doing this for? At the end of the day. So, if it brings you enjoyment and it's getting you through a really challenging time, then that's I've met that goal.
yeah. So you still feel like it was worth it, right? To get back into this. I mean, it certainly seems like you do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know what? The thing is, I think it's obviously eye-opening. I think we talked about that last time, just from a promotional perspective. Like,
Yeah,
it's, you really have to grind. I mean, I'm a do-it-yourself musician, right? So it's like, so I do a lot of the promotional stuff myself, and you have to dig really deep. Like I'm
for
about to
sure.
do that again. And so you just go, well, yeah, you realize it is a lot of hustling to do that. Most of the musicians I know that are successful are just hustlers. They're completely embedded in and just heads down and trying to create that opportunity for themselves. So, but yeah, definitely been worth it. It's been fun, and I mean, I feel like honestly, I'm just getting started. I think I got a lot left in me.
That's good. That's good to hear. Yeah, you've been
Yeah,
recording recently as well, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I recorded for a long period of time, just for this kind of, I'll call it the second batch of songs. Initially, it was
Sure.
going to be one EP, and then the timing with COVID, it just didn't work out. So, the second batch of songs I would probably recorded over the course of about 11 months with Len Milne from Bedside.
Yeah.
Plus, I think we just have so much fun that I prolong it. Yeah.
How I guess how different is this second batch of songs than the ones you had released last year and a little bit earlier than that? In terms of, I mean, sonically, is there a noticeable difference to you? In has have the I guess maybe a better way of asking that is how has it progressed? How has your sound progressed during that time?
You know what? I think the first three songs in the head space I was writing them, it was very much for country.
Yeah,
That kind of back road. Just as I dip my pool back into the music. But now I find that the writing is a lot more reflective of me and my background and my interests and tastes and stuff like that. So, I released a song in August called Invincible, and it was very different than what I put out previously.
Yeah.
Just a little edgier for sure. And then the next two releases I had planned for the spring, one in a couple of weeks, they're definitely a little darker for sure. And I think part of it is me and what I'm going through, and the other part is I think it's just, I'm also working with Len, and his interests have changed over COVID as well, and his musicianship around like roots rock and what have you. So it's been a kind of a nice blend. So it's definitely, I would say, definitely edgier, still kind of that in that country genre, but it's definitely leaning on edgier for sure.
Does that edgier sound, is that more reflective of kind of your authentic sound, where you're not necessarily trying to fit into, okay, I'm a country artist, and you're just maybe doing what you want to do?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just, I think you just kind of realize that it's a lot more fun to just naturally tap into that stuff. I mean, I know whether I like it or not, I'm definitely a product of the 80s and 90s rock, right?
Right.
Like it's the Bon Jovis and the to AC/DC to all that stuff, right? And but I also like that really heavy country, that country western sound. So so maybe it's kind of marrying the two as I get older. It's just what comes naturally for sure.
That makes sense. Well, and you can't get away from that stuff, right? The stuff you heard when you were first getting into music is always going to be like permanently embedded in your brain. So like, regardless of what how your styles change and your tastes change, that music you heard when you were 12, 13, whatever, that's always there, and it's going to come through eventually anyway.
Yeah, it oozes through your pores. It's and and I think, again, if I was working maybe with a different producer, there might be a different end result, because I think that naturally just leaks into the creative process, right? So but no, it's fun tapping into that, and yeah, I'm looking forward to putting the next couple out. I think it's gonna we worked really hard on them, so I'm really curious about what people might think.
Cool. Do you have maybe a stronger idea now of where you fit in within Manitoba's music scene? Because I mean, the country scene is huge. I know that's sort of where you kind of are most comfortable, but there's so many different subgenres and different sort of styles within there. Have you kind of pegged that down more closely, or are you still just this singer-songwriter who also is into rock music, is also into country, and you're just sort of floating between the styles?
Yeah, you know what? Like that's a really good question. I mean, in terms of like kind of where I fit in the big scheme of things with the country in Manitoba. I mean, it was nice to get kind of an invite to do that pre-show for the music awards there, because
that was cool.
It was very cool, and it was kind of unexpected. It was nice, and and I thought, well, it was kind of
see if he comes back. Real internet. This will be fun for anyone watching the video version. Oh.
Hey,
you still there?
I'm still here. I don't know how much did you get it.
I don't think I got any of it. I think you just froze as you were about to answer the question.
Shit. Okay. Sorry, man. It's the weather out here right now. It's just it's windy and icy.
No worries.
So okay, just give me that.
Yeah, we were talking about sort of the figuring out where you fit in within the Manitoba country scene, and you started talking about that performance you did at the awards show, which is a very cool opportunity for you. Yeah,
for sure. So I mean, it was just really nice to get that nod, and again, it was as I was reflecting back on the previous year, it was just about it's a testament to just building relationships and those connections, and it is such a wide genre of music in terms of the, like you said, the sub styles, what have you. So I mean, but I think for the most part, I'm not kind of driven to be part of that. I mean, it's nice to build relationships in that community, but I think there's such a wide variety of music in Manitoba, and I think that's I'm not limited. I don't think I'm limited to that one type of style of music, really,
Yeah.
in terms of writing or playing and stuff. I mean, I could honestly, Len and I were even thinking about releasing this kind of like more ska reggae style
Oh, really?
song that I'd written. Yeah. So, and that's, currently in like pre-production kind of thing.
Oh,
So,
very
I
cool.
mean, yeah, we're like, let's just have fun with it. Right. I mean, let's just be realistic. We're doing it for the real fun of it.
Yeah. Do you think that living where you do, does that help you sort of, be away from the sort of epicenter of all of it in Winnipeg, where you can sort of be a little more adventurous or a little less concerned about what the country scene, quote unquote, thinks about you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's just, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think maybe this type of time that we're going through right now is just probably indicative of actually being probably lends itself more to just putting your head down and doing your own thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Maybe to some people's detriment, right? Because it can really be isolating. But I find, yeah, it's definitely less distractions. I just kind of do what feels right, what comes natural, and what makes sense musically.
Cool. Well, and I know obviously no one can predict the future, especially the way things are going in the past couple of years. But what is sort of your near future goal with this project? Are you hoping that if shows and things become available, do you have plans for getting out there and especially since you have new music to release?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got a lot of plans for this coming up year. I don't know if I mentioned it last time I was on, but I was going to do like a series of like live streams and call them the Prairie Town Basement Sessions.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's a
just
cool
for a
idea.
variety of reasons, yeah, it was a cool idea, and I think I definitely will do that. But I think what I've done is I've modified that concept into going to be a podcast.
Okay, oh, great idea, even
Yeah,
better.
so I'm going to basically start it in the first episode will be in probably about 3 weeks from now, and it's just going to showcase kind of Manitoba country artists,
Okay,
and just with a very feel like maybe even a similar format to this, and then just basically with a kind of spin on just like the songwriting process. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But just as a way to connect with the industry and continue to form relationships. And then obviously still releasing music for sure, like the next one on February 4th. And hopefully to get out there and actually promote it. We did have a couple of events planned that were canceled,
yeah,
so I think that they were both going to be in February. So I think hopefully we'll reschedule those for whenever it makes sense, April, May, and then I'll be getting out there. So I definitely want to spread myself thin in terms of getting out there this summer and playing for people.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think that the good thing about this summer, assuming things go as we all hope they do, is there'll
Yeah,
be so many opportunities, I think, people to play because everyone wants to go out and see live music. Because we've been
absolutely.
so deprived of it for so long. So I think there'll be a lot happening. Yeah, assuming shows are happening, I think they'll be everywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you've got a chance to catch a concert like when we had that kind of little sweet spot there, and
I did
um,
briefly, yeah, yeah,
and it was just like I mean, I've never had such a better time at a show. Like, I mean,
totally,
just that longing for connection. People were just like, wow, like this is like, this feels good. I forgot how good this feels,
yeah. Because yeah, it makes
So
you kind
yeah,
of
I
forget
agree.
what everything else that's going on in the world around you because you actually have a chance to enjoy this thing that you took for granted for your whole life, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
So if people want to hear you and want to, check out the new stuff you're doing and the old stuff, what's the best way to track you down online? Where should people go if they want to check out your music?
You know what? I would probably just direct people to
Okay,
www.iankrochakmusic.com. And then, obviously on my social media at Ian Krochak Music. Yeah, people can access the music right through those portals, and yeah, and people can drop me a line, listen to the tunes, and drop me a line. Let me know what you think of them.
cool. And then this podcast idea you have, is that going to be going through the website as well, or do you have? So is that still sort of up in the air?
You know what? Yeah, I think so. I probably will link it off the website. I guess it's
Cool.
just a matter of whether or not I'm gonna maybe create a different identity for that specific podcast, or I'm gonna kind of link it to myself somehow,
Okay.
as like one medium that I'm creating. So I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm sure there'll be a link off the website.
Awesome. And then as far as actually like listening to the songs, I assume that it's 2022. Most people are listening to physical, or not listening to physical media, except for me and a few others. But I imagine all
Exactly.
your stuff's on all the streaming services and everything, right?
Yeah, it's all, yeah, Spotify, Apple, all the streaming platforms, YouTube. Yeah, it's on all of those. So yeah, and hopefully we'll get about 4 or 5 more of those, between now and the summer, getting more on there.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm glad you're still doing it. It's always nice to catch up with past guests on the show too, especially if it's someone that I don't see very often. Not that I see anyone now because of the pandemic, but someone that I don't see often in my day-to-day life. In the city, you're often running into the same people over and over again, and they tend to come on, a lot on the podcast. But when I have an out-of-town guest, even though you're still in the province, it's nice to kind of follow up, and it's good to see that you've been active and you have new music coming, and I think people will be excited for it.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's always a pleasure to come on here. I really appreciate that. It gives me the opportunity to just connect with you as well, and just have a lot of respect for what you do and how you promote people like me. So yeah, I really appreciate that, man.
Thanks, I appreciate it.